Glory to Jesus Christ. Procreation is collaboration with God. God's statement, the commandment to beget children, is just as valid today because He is always an artist who is fashioning humankind. It is certainly true that God is working even now on the world like a painter on his picture. The Lord taught us this too by saying, "My Father is working still." Gospel of John, chapter 5, verse 17. When the rivers no longer flow and no longer pour on to the great seabed, when the light has been separated in a perfect way from the darkness, though for the present this has yet to happen, when the good earth has ceased to produce fruit, when reptiles and quadrupeds have stopped reproducing, and when the prearranged number of men and women has been reached, only then will there be a need to refrain from begetting children. As things are, it is necessary for humanity to collaborate in bringing into the world beings in the likeness of God, because the world is already in existence, or rather it is being created. Be fruitful and multiply. Genesis chapter 1, verse 28 is the word. Methodius of Olympus, the Banquet of the 10 Virgins. We are slowly moving away from consideration of creation itself, but I hope that from the previous readings we understood and we carry this to our future considerations, is that we are part of creation. Part of creation by God, who gave that creation purpose of existence. And we will be slowly moving into more morally challenging questions, like the one that we consider today. The passage from Methodius of Olympus talks about procreation. In modern days, in the 21st century, procreation is a cause of many moral questions and problems and theories, and it is something that is spoken about, abused by politicians and social systems a lot. Well, to simplify everything and to really bring it back to God's plan, the one that He made for us, we can just read this passage and stop right there. There are not too many commandments from God that are extremely plain, simple, and straightforward. Bible itself, many books in the Bible and many texts in the New and Old Testament require explanation. They require understanding of the situation. They require knowledge of language and history and social circumstances. But the first couple of pages of the book of Genesis, upon the creation of a human being, God gives this being a commandment. It might be considered as a commandment, or it might be considered as a wish. It might be considered just as an explanation, as a statement of purpose. And that statement is very simple: be fruitful and multiply. This happened before man committed the original sin. This happened before creation was tempered with by death and sin as such. This commandment was intended for a perfect human being. That commandment is something that we are invited from that very first moment when God saw His creation, saw that it was good. And the first words that come down from His lips are, be fruitful and multiply. In modern days, we have many theories, even among Catholics sometimes, unfortunate Catholics, that will say that humankind has to limit its procreation, its participation in God's creation. But by doing this, we stand in the way of this artist who paints his picture of creation. That artist is God. And everything that we do, or we might think of doing to limit the procreation in any way, stands in the way of that artist. An artist who definitely paints a perfect picture. We've been in his way in many ways and in many situations, right from the moment of the original sin. But this is something that we have to clearly avoid. Be in the way of God. He is the one to create. And do we have the right to limit that, or to control that, or to choose, as it is often referred to, choice? Do we want to make a choice of being in the way of God? That would be the most unfortunate decision for any Christian to make. Let us contemplate this great gift of procreation as a gift of participation in God's way of being, in God's way of creating, in God's way of painting a perfect picture. Glory to